Dice roll, and we are ready to start.
And this shows that everything goes in the single elimination part of a tournament like this. The US player barely made it into today as the number 8 player of the tournament, and now he's sitting in the final and is posed to win it all. Only one match removed from being world champion.
Yeah, that happens more often than you think. A lot of times, when you get in at 8th place, you feel like you have something to prove, so you play a lot harder than you would normally. Keener starts out with a set card, and that's it. Looks like he didn't get any of his combo pieces early.
Or it can have the opposite effect that you're number 8, nobody expects you from winning it, and you can just play without any pressure.
Yep. Playing on house money, why not? Huang starts off with Sacred Sword of 7 stars, this Banishing Blaster to draw 2.
Playing on house money doesn't happen in Vegas.
Special exception. Alright, he's drawn his 2. He's going to go ahead and search for Blaster to get a burner out of his deck. The best chance for Huang to win is to have a fast start and not let Keener have the turns he needs to draw towards his combo pieces.
We discussed it earlier off air. It might be worth repeating here that in this matchup, the Spellbook deck really wants to win the first game, because after side decking, what we've seen so far here, the Dragon Ruler deck has a little bit of an advantage.
Yep, and he's trying to press it as much as he can in game 1, because he doesn't want to go into that 0-1 hole. Starting off with reacting to summon a Redox, and now appears to be Lightning as well.
Now, does Keener have anything in his main deck to disrupt the Dragon Ruler duelist?
Well, he's got traps, which we've seen in the past is the Achilles heel of Dragon Rulers. He's got the pair of Solemn Warning, Solemn Judgment. He's got a pair of Phoenix Wing Wind Blasts that can send a Dracosac or other Xyz monster straight back to the extra deck. And he's got a couple Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spells. It's a counter trap that you would normally use against a Spellbook deck. You discard a spell, negate the activation of a spell, destroy it, and then your opponent can't play that spell for the rest of the duel. Obviously, really good against Spellbooks where they need each of their cards to be usable all the time. Also has applications against Dragon Rulers if you hit a key spell like the Sacred Sword or Super Rejuvenation. In the meantime, Huang has summoned Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosac. Or at least he's declared that he's going to do so. And Keener is going to flip Solemn Warning, and that's the first Dracosac gone. It does, however, put Keener at 6,000 life points, and there are 2 dragons beneath it. First, he's going to banish a Redox and the Dracosac to summon back Tempest from the graveyard. And this is the part where Keener has to really hope that spending all those life points early isn't going to lead to an early end of this duel. This is still in main phase 1, so if Huang can get enough dragons on the board, he could win right here.
Is that one of the reasons why we don't see cards like Solemn Warning and Solemn Judgment as much anymore? Is it that Dragon Rulers can, or even before that, Mermails could put so much damage on the board in one turn that you can't risk it anymore?
I'd say that's definitely part of it. And another part of it is that a lot of times, after you pay those life points, it doesn't really matter. Like, you stop the summon, you win that battle, but you wind up losing the war because all those monsters come right back. It looks like he, after attacking directly with both of his Dragon Rulers, summoned his second Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosac, special summoned 2 tokens, and played Super Rejuvenation.
That's a very strong start.
That's a rough blow. Fresh hand of 6 for Huang. And Keener is at very low life. Can't quite see what's going on up there. But if he can get his spellbooks rolling and start kicking out some big spellbook of fates, he could conceivably get back into it. I mean, Super Rejuvenation isn't the only quick play spell card that's going to put 6 cards in your hand that we're seeing in this tournament. Spellbook of Judgment is just as good at it. And it usually comes with a bunch of free searches from the rest of your spellbooks.
He has a bunch of spell cards in his hand, so he definitely has some options. The question is just, is it enough to get him out of this hole?
Yep, I'm pretty sure that I see a Spellbook of Judgment in there. But without much of a follow-up, there's not a whole lot of a reason to play it. The problem appears to be that he doesn't have any monsters. So all of the spellbooks that he might be holding that require a monster, like a Wisdom, a Power, Fate, Master, etc., aren't useful until he finds one. Now this is something that we didn't see in either of the other spellbook matches. Keener went ahead and activated Spellbook of Judgment during his opponent's turn. That's because Spellbook of Judgment counts spells that both players play, and since he doesn't have spells that he can play on his own, he's going to at least use Judgment to prevent his opponent from loading up on, Sacred Swords and Super Rejuvenations, etc.
So it's more of a defensive way to play Judgment.
Yep. Alright. Dracosack attributes itself to target face-down Book of Moon. Book of Moon isn't usable in this situation, although I'm certain that Keener wishes it was, because it would add another spell to the count for Judgment. It's not usable for the record because tokens cannot be placed face down, so they're not a legal target for Book of Moon. Next up, Blaster comes back. Tempest and Dragoonity Corsica are discarded to search for Light and Darkness Dragon. Light and Darkness Dragon is known as the bane of the spellbook deck. If you're not playing High Priestess, then you don't really have a way out of it other than to activate something and chain a spellbook of fate for at least 2 spells.
And it seems that was the end of Duel 1.
Yep, that was enough for Keener. Not going to be able to fight back against the Light and Darkness Dragon. So that's 1-0 to Shin Huang. Got a Spellbook of Judgment. But off that, he drew another Super Rejuvenation, and now things are just getting a little silly.
Wow.
You think he drew the 3rd one? That'd be pretty good. Finals of the World Championship. 1 duel away from winning. Triple Rejuvenation,
cards?
draw 12 cards.
Wow. 8 cards.
That would be an impressive way to do it, but 8 cards is still pretty good.
You think?
Alright, at the end of the turn, he's got to discard down to 6. And he's pitched some more dragons to do it. Alright, so there's a face-down Dracosack and a Redox that's only going to be here until the end of the turn.
Players get instructed to shuffle Huang's deck, I think.
I think you're right. Although why that was done after all the cards were drawn for Super Rejuvenation mystifies me. Perhaps there's an effect I missed. Keener's up. Starts things off with Spellbook of Eternity. That lets you retrieve any of your banished Spellbook spells. Of course, he picks Spellbook of Judgment. And it looks like there is a discussion being held over the number of spell counters on each of the star halls, and whether or not he has enough dice at his disposal to mark them all. Well, he does now. He's got the judgment, but if he doesn't have enough of a follow-up for it, he might try to wait things out one more turn. Now that is if he has the cards to help him stay in the game long enough. There are a lot of dragons in that graveyard.
He has one trap card in hand. I can't really see what it is.
That's a Phoenix Wing Windblast, it looks like.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the Judgment and 2 other spells. 1 monster.
Yep, probably spellbooks.
He
He's going to
activates
start
Judgment.
things off with Judgment. That's 8 spell counters on his star holes, which means that all of his spellcasters will gain 800 attack points.
So, out of your little dudes, you make big dudes.
Yep.
There comes a little dude.
Oh, he's got a Jowgen. He can randomly discard a card to destroy all special summon monsters on the field, which would include everything on his opponent's side of the field. But first, Spellbook of Secrets. He's maxed out the first dice being used as a spell counter. His monsters are now plus 1,000, and he's going for a search. Goes to get Spellbook of Power. That can add another 1,000 onto a spellcaster, and if the monster enchanted by Spellbook of Power defeats another monster in battle, you get to search for yet another spellbook.
And by playing the Spellbook of Power, he actually boosts his monster by 1,200 because he gets 2 spell counters.
Yep. Which he's going to do. So, puny little Jowgen, who starts off at a measly 200 attack points, gets 1,000 out of the power, that's 1,200. And he's also getting another 1,200 out of the Star Halls, making him a 2,400 attack point, level 3 monster that prohibits special summoning. And also searches out another spellbook if it defeats anything in battle.
I think he's doing the math as well.
Yep. Always got to do your math. 2,400 is enough to take out Dracosac, which means that Keener gets to search for another spellbook. Now, he has yet to get the Grand Spellbook Tower on the field, but I think at this point it's more important that he start to recycle his fates so that any possible recourse his opponent will have will just get banished.
Now he activates Master.
Yep. And he's copying Secrets. More spell counters. He's keeping track to make sure that he has the right number of cards for Spellbook of Judgment at the end of the turn. This time he's going to go get his Grand Spellbook Tower. That'll start him off drawing an additional card every turn. And it's a spellbook, so it'll continue to power up little Jowgen over there. Not so little Jowgen anymore, is he?
And it counts for Judgment.
Yep. There's the Grand Spellbook Tower. This is going to get out of hand really fast for Huang.
I don't think he has enough dice. I think somebody needs to get him more dice.
Well, I mean, there's 3 more there. That's a good 18 more counters. He's not going to play 9 more spells, is he? He is, isn't he? All right. Keener sets 2 Speller Trap cards to finish things up for his turn, and in the end phase, he's going to go pull a ton of spellbooks out of his now dwindling deck. Now, you can't get another copy of Spellbook of Judgment directly, but you can get the secrets, which is the next best thing. And now, one thing to note is that he can't special summon. Jiaogan is a double-edged sword there, and while it would be really nice to have Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer right about now, just to make sure, he can't get it.
There comes Mystical Space Typhoon.
Yep, Mystical Space Typhoon in the end phase. Eliminates Phoenix Wing Wind Blast.
Ooh.
But we saw Spellbook of Fate earlier, so that one's probably still hiding down there.
And that was probably not the best target for him.
We still don't know what that one face-down card is from the start of the game. Now I just want to see it. You think he's just slow-rolling a Solemn Judgment for the entire game this time?
That would be an amazing bluff.
After seeing what happened last time around?
Ah, Tsukuyomi again.
Yep. Now, if you were going to use a warning or a judgment, there's Solemn Judgment. If ever there was a card to use it on, it's the one that would make you lose if it went through.
And that gets a reaction from the crowd here in the hall.
When was the last time you saw Solemn Judgment on Tsukuyomi?
2003? And Huang is undeterred. He plays card destruction, discarding 5 dragons.
He is as cool as they come.
He does not want to lose this one.
No.
You get up 1-0 on a Spellbook deck, which doesn't happen often, you got to win game 2. You do not want to give Spellbooks a chance to get back in it.
Oh.
And he drew into Blaster and Burner. And it looks like he's discarding them to destroy Jiaogan, which will turn special summons back on. That's a pretty good draw for card destruction. Although at this point he's drawn so many cards in the duel that he's bound to get there eventually.
Now, could that face-down card be a Wisdom?
Spellbook of Wisdom? I believe it has to be Spellbook of Fate, which unfortunately he can't use now that there's no spellcaster on his side of the field. And a Wisdom wouldn't really help there because it doesn't stop monster effects.
Oh yes, it only helps against spells and traps. Is that a card to side out in this matchup?
Spellbook of Wisdom? Yes. Yes, unless you absolutely need the spellbooks, and looking at his deck list, he clearly does not. There are many spellbooks that are not Wisdom. I would probably side it out. There's 1 Dragon Ruler, 2 Dragon Ruler, 3 Dragon Rulers.
Wow.
It's a lot of dragons. And that's it. Card destruction into Burner wins the day.
Yeah,
and Shin and Huang of Taiwan is your 2013 Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game World Champion.
All right, that's it for the dueling action this weekend. We will be streaming live the awards ceremony, so stay tuned for that. And remember to check online on the 20th for the next Forbidden and Limited list. Thank you for watching.
Good night, everyone.